Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to another one of my videos. My name is Jessica, and normally, because I've been making YouTube videos here for a few years now, normally I make videos about hair and life and vlogs and just kind of anywhere in between. But this is gonna be a different video because I don't have a script plan. I don't have a script planned for any of my videos, but this is just gonna be me just sitting down and talking and just saying things that I need to say, and this is a lot of years in the making here, because I never had the confidence to make a video like this because I was still figuring things out about it. But I am wanting to talk about the fact that I am asexual and aromantic. And it took a lot of years to figure that out about myself. And as the years went on, I just pinpointed more on it, to just like how people find out that they're gay or bi. So, whereas there were points in that where I thought that I was both of those things, which I'll get into, but I don't want to make this intro too long. But yes, this is officially my coming out video. And I've watched a lot of videos like this over the years, and it was just time for me to make mine and to talk about my story and to kind of tell my story to hopefully help somebody else along their journey and to hopefully make their own video on YouTube. So yeah, so sit back, relax, and listen to my story, and hopefully something about my story can help you on your journey of figuring out who you are and your identity. So stay tuned. Big hug, big love. So our story is going to begin here in my car before I go in to work here. So our story begins just when I was a little kid growing up. I would literally wake up in the middle of the night and just not be able to sleep, just because of just these just very, I guess you could call intrusive thoughts, and they would just consume me, and they were related to, and they would relate to like just thinking like, what if I'm gay? Like, what if I'm not straight? Like that's what I would think. I would literally be sometimes, I would only sleep for a few hours, and then I would wake up and those thoughts would keep me awake for the rest of the night. And then I got to high school, and I was in high school when Connor Franta's coming out video came out, when he uploaded his coming out video. And if you don't know who Connor Franta is, definitely look him up. He's been on YouTube for literally over a decade. But I was in high school when his coming out video was uploaded, and he kind of talks a little bit about that in his video, like the thought of the possibility of being gay just consumed him, and that consumed me too. And, but when I was in high school, because due to my being a romantic, I just didn't really have like that interest in dating people. Obviously, in high school, that's when people typically start to get an interest in dating. I didn't have an interest in any of it. My parents literally wanted me to, like, and don't get me wrong, this is what I wanted for myself too. My parents and I wanted me to just keep my grades up so that I could be accepted into college when I was finished with high school. And that's exactly what happened. I got through high school, and with all of these thoughts, and having never gone out on a date, or I mean, I of course have had friends all through the years, but like dating and friendships are two completely different things, obviously. But having never gone on a date, I was accepted to college, and that's kind of where this part of the story kind of ends, with my having to go into work, and I will continue the story maybe later today or maybe not till tomorrow. I don't know, but stay tuned. So here we are the next day with the next part of the story here. So we left off on my finishing high school, and all through high school, I didn't have the interest in dating, which was a sign that I didn't know was my being a romantic yet. So that is when I got to college, and that was when I started to have feelings that I definitely was not straight. But even though I was feeling that, I still started to feel the desire to just meet, date, befriend, or get to know some men that went to my college that I attended and ended up graduating from. And I ended up meeting a few guys that I had experiences with, good and bad. But that was kind of what taught me that I didn't have all that much interest in, like, the physicality with men. I just didn't feel it. I had dated some men after I graduated college, and I just didn't feel the desire to really, like, date them anymore. So that was when, so it started out that I kind of felt like I was bi, because I was still feeling the desire to date and befriend and get to know men, but I know now that wanting to befriend them and get to know them and just going out and meeting them is definitely not the same thing as being attracted to someone physically speaking. So, but I of course did not know that then. So what had happened next was I went from thinking that I was bisexual, thinking I had the desire to date both men and women, but I had not had the confidence to pursue women yet. I just didn't have that kind of confidence to act on my queerness, if you will. So that was when I had graduated college. I wanted to pursue, befriend, and date women, which will be the next part of the story. Okay, so we left off last time to where I had dated men for a while, but I just wasn't really feeling all that much like of that physical romantic attraction, which continues our story by saying those thoughts kind of what made me start to consider like some maybe I'm gay. And so this was a really interesting time in my life because my parents had moved down here to Florida and I was still living up north where I was born and raised. And I was living in an apartment after I had graduated college. And when they moved, I decided, like, okay, maybe I can go on some dates with some women. To which I did meet some people, and I did get into a little bit of a relationship for a while. But then at that point in my life, I was kind of very depressed. I didn't like being as far away from my family as I was. And I really kind of wasn't feeling all that into the physicality of it. And this is the part of the story where I did kind of develop a little bit of a drinking problem because I didn't know how to handle kind of what I was learning about myself. Because at that point in time, I hadn't really heard about asexuality yet. Like, not even asexuality, but I hadn't heard about asexuality or aromanticism. I hadn't heard of any of that. So that's when I had moved, and I had gotten into another relationship with a woman, and that relationship went okay. It actually was the longest relationship that I had been in, which nevertheless lasted. Romantically speaking, we weren't romantically involved for all that long. We had known each other for 3 years, but we were mostly friends through it all. So that's kind of what sealed the deal for me. And just not really being all that interested in the physicality or romanticism of just relationships in general. So the pieces of the puzzle were being put together. It's just, at that point in time, I was just dealing with a lot mentally. And like I said, I had developed a little bit of a drinking problem, and I had decided to go into intense therapy for that, which is what will bring me to the next part. Stay tuned. So, good morning. And we left off with my explaining that I had developed a little bit of a drinking problem because of just confusion with my sexuality and just everything else going on in my life at that point, because my parents had moved to Florida and I did not know how to handle that. And I had gotten into a relationship that admittedly was not healthy for me. Now, this relationship was with a woman, and I had wanted to get into a relationship with a woman, and she was a good person. It's just, that's kind of where the drinking problem started. I did not know how to handle everything that was going on with me mentally. So was just so anxious all the time due to literally everything that was going on in my life at that point. And I realized that I just needed help and I needed to be closer to my family to do that. So that's when I moved to Florida. And that's when I kind of just faced the reality of everything, that I may be asexual, because in my relationship, I still was not really into the physicality of everything. I got very emotionally attached to her, but when it came to the physicality, it just wasn't working for me. But I hadn't said it out loud yet. And I did end up getting help for the drinking problem, because for about a year, I took it very seriously that I wasn't going to drink. I was going to do my therapy sessions. I was going to, do group therapy. And that's exactly what I did. I went into a program that did one-on-one therapy sessions to pinpoint what was really going on with me personally. And I did group therapy sessions to meet other people and to kind of put my own situation into perspective and hear other people's stories. And that was good for me. And if you're going through a similar situation like what I'm talking about here, I encourage you to seek out options to do the same thing. If you are struggling with your sexuality or anything else that you're struggling with mentally. This is the part of the video that I highly encourage that. And at that point, I had gotten into another relationship with a woman, but in this relationship, I had been a little bit more upfront about how I was feeling about, my sexuality and just, and when it comes to that part of the relationship. And she was so great about it. Like, she never ever pressured me into anything. And she wasn't really wanting to go too fast with that part of the relationship anyway. And so that was good. And that relationship lasted for about 3 years before we decided that it was kind of best that we live our lives separately, because the whole relationship, it was a little bit, it was basically just a friendship. There wasn't really too much romantic involvement, partially because she had grown feelings for somebody else, and I did not just really want too much of a romantic involvement due to my aromanticism that I know about now. So, yeah, that was kind of a mouthful. Yes. And so that was kind of the last relationship that I was in, and how I kind of got through the mental health part of everything, and how I finally just started to just say it to myself. But there is still more to the story. But all in all, from there, I did my best to start to build more friendships with people, starting to be more honest about who I really am and about what I really want for my future, hopefully without letting someone on or leading someone on too much. So, yeah, that's a mouthful, but yeah, take it with a grain of salt, get the help you need, and yeah, stay tuned for the next part of the story. And we have come to a conclusion to our story here, based on stories of dating men and dating women and just dating people in general and on the journey to figuring out that I'm asexual and aromantic, I have thankfully gotten to a place to where I have my family, I prioritize my family, I prioritize my friends and friendship, and I prioritize my career. And I've gotten to a place to where I know that I do not want kids. I would rather just prioritize my family and take care of my parents when they are older and can no longer take care of themselves, rather than be with the responsibility of raising a young child. However, I do want to get married because I was raised by my parents that I have been married for over 30 years now and have obviously stuck together and loved each other and supported each other through a lot of the punches that life gives you sometimes. So that's what I want for my future. I do want to get married, but at the same time, I am somebody that very much understands that that cannot be forced by any means. And I am learning to be okay if it ends up not happening. I need to be happy with myself and my life and not rely on a relationship for my happiness. I'm responsible for my own happiness, and everybody else is in charge of their own. And I'll end this with a teeny story. So my boss at my first job, working at a deli, she was, or still is, she didn't die, she did not get married or have children in her early years. And when I first met her, because this was like way over 10 years ago now, because I'm almost 30. And when I first met her, it was a little bit, I don't want to say strange, but it was out of the ordinary for me because she was the first person that I had met that that had not gotten married or had children. But as time went on, I realized the place where she was coming from. Like, you want to know what? I have my family, I have my job, I have my friends that I see, and I have my house, and that's the life I love. And everything else that comes along is just gravy. So I'm trying to get to the place where she's at. And I feel like I'm close to it, but I feel like I need more time. And I know that that's okay. And I know that meeting other asexual people helps that. And just meeting other people that don't feel that they need a marriage or kids to be happy with their life. So not that there's anything wrong with that, because my best friend is now married with a child on the way at the time of making this video. So I don't judge people's life choices at all. It's just I need to learn how to be comfortable with my own and what the future holds for all of that. So yeah, that's it. That's my video. That's my story. That's all I have to say about it. And that's my advice to people that feel that they may be asexual. You have to figure everything out on your own terms. Nobody can force you to do anything, and you're on your own journey of figuring it out, and you have to do what you got to do. And yep, that's my video. That's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. And As always, big hug, big love. Stay tuned for more videos.